under and overperforming teams.
Yeah, that's another one.
So we'll be
I
talking
know. Do you,
about all the divisions: Atlantic, Metropolitan. I have it written down on my little pad here. Central and Pacific. Have four for each. Now you don't need to have like two over and two under. It could be one over, one three under. Like it can. Some divisions will have more unders and overs, right?
right. Well, yeah. I think I pretty much got mine
Okay.
sorted out. Like I think it may not be exactly the way that you're saying it for me, but I'll talk about who I think should be doing better and who I thought should be doing worse. Basically, yeah,
Okay.
under and overperforming.
Uh, okay. Let's start with the Atlantic. Sure.
Sure, yeah, you can lead us off. Who do you got?
So currently, I have Detroit on over,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then under. I think, of course, Montreal. I'm gonna put that there. Just a clear and evident one right there. Boston and
Yeah,
Tampa. Those are. I think those are all easy to pick out.
yeah, definitely. I think you basically nailed it there. Boston though, that one that's a bit of a stretch. Yes, they are 5-4. But they've only played 9 games, and most of the league is at like 13, 11 games. So like they have games in hand,
You're
and
right, but
it's the
I've
Bruins.
looked
Like
I've looked at their stats. The
fair
stats for
enough.
their top players, David Pastrnak, they're not high, and also they're showing some plus minus difficulty there too. So they're not caught on their feet, although they've shown promises in games where they've, the top line's clicking, but you need that to
Hmm.
be consistent in this NHL. And I think Detroit, even if I said they're over, they're quite shocking themselves. We're going to be talking about it again later on, but I think Detroit is a special team because they've shown that they have a bite in them, and Lucas Raymond showing up
Hmm.
out of nowhere is lining up the show right now. He's a point per game player. Dylan Larkin and them two together are just dynamo. Joe Veleno's great as well. They've got great players, prospects. Their goaltender was nearly Calder Trophy winner last year with the Carolina Hurricanes, Alex
Yeah.
Nedeljkovic, and he's playing great in Detroit as well as a starter. He as what was promised. Of course, Anderson's doing great, but focusing on Detroit here, it's really hard to put Boston ahead of them when you look at the goaltending and how well Detroit's been clicking. It's difficult. It really is a difficult position to put Detroit even as over. I think they're performing at about what they were hoping or expected to do.
Yeah, because even looking at like overall, like they're really if you include overtime losses, they have 6 wins and 7 losses. So really, like yeah, they are. This is who I think they should be. They're a young team. They're taking a step forward. They're not the garbage teams that we've seen in the past from Detroit. Like they're no longer. I don't think they're anymore like a bottom five NHL team. I think
No.
they moved up to that next tier where it's like you're not quite a wild card playoff team, but like you're not like a basement team either. You're just in that middle ground where like you're still developing. They're still
Yeah.
young too, and they have youth everywhere in their lineup: forwards, defensemen, goaltending. Like that team. I mean, Yzerman, he knows how to build a winner. Look at Tampa Bay and the team that he built. Obviously, didn't get his name on the cup with them because he wasn't the GM when they won
Yeah.
both years. But you could say he was the architect of that team. He brought everyone in, drafted all the guys, and gave them those amazing contracts. Which,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
just
it's
the
still
the
continuing. It's
influence.
still continuing to this day, but that's of course, that base that he started with. That
Hmm.
Florida has an advantage with the taxes, of course, and something that wasn't really hidden from the public. And
Yeah.
with this, Braden Point's contract, we could get on to that. Tampa is underperforming clearly. I, they won the cup. They are coming off slow. Of course, players are gone now. It's sort of expected that they would regress a little bit.
Hmm.
They are still in the running, 6 wins, 3 losses, and 2 overtime losses. So
Yeah.
they're still in it.
Kind of. I mean, yeah, like I'm, I'm gonna take that back. Tampa Bay, like they were underperforming maybe like 2 weeks ago, but now, I mean, even like their point percentage,
They
it's
also got
six.
Kucherov missing now, right? They've
That's
just
true,
lost
but
him maybe 2 games ago. So there's even more players gone, and I don't think they're saying I'm saying they're underperforming and they're doing well. Like I still think that they're going to make the playoffs.
oh yeah,
I'm just
100%.
saying
I still think they're gonna win the division, even.
I don't I think Tampa would gladly not win the division. Gladly.
Of course,
Let Florida go. Hell, if they meet Florida again, they'll be the underdogs and clearly they will bite. They can
that's
bite.
true. I
They
mean,
Patrick Maroon, bro, will come out and he will single-handedly pass through the first round for them.
I know you're not wrong about that at all.
And then Montreal. Did you have the same as me, right? So same under and over as me.
Yeah, pretty much. I would like to add one after Montreal, but yeah, we'll talk about
Sure.
Montreal right now. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you handle this one since you're the resident Habs fan of this podcast. So
This is
I'll let
true.
you.
You're
I'll
wearing.
let
I
you.
mean, we're fans of the league. I
Yes, but of course, when it comes to Leaf for me, and when it comes to the Habs, I'll let you go first, and
thanks.
then
Thank you.
then I'll come and chime in. Same thing, opposite. If it's the Leafs, I'll start. You can chime in after. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Ideas.
We don't.
It's the
Okay.
first episode.
We'll figure out organization later.
Exactly.
But we'll start with Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. What can you say after Stanley Cup Finals loss versus Tampa after 5 games? It was a hell of a story. Me and Steven talked every day, or not every day, but every other day when the playoffs were on, and we discussed every single game through the Toronto series, which was exciting.
Every
and
period we talked.
every period we talked. That was very fun, that first series, and I think I would trade this. I would do this trade if I knew that the next year I wasn't going to make the playoffs. I'd take it in a heartbeat. If I knew that I was going to have a chance at the finals, send me there. Just get me over there. I don't care, because it's luck. At the end of the day, this game has still luck involved in it, because your bounces, part of the game isn't controlled by you. It's random by another person's individual perspective of the game. And the Montreal Canadiens did a fantastic job with what they had. They proved that you didn't need a typical number one center. They needed a proper defensive style number one center, which they are crucially missing. Philip Danault just won with LA against Toronto. That's just typical Danault fashion. He loves to shut down the best players on the teams, and I think he's a big departure, of course, one, but of course Shea Weber, Carey Price. Injuries go on. Kakiniemi acquired by Carolina, and we'll get into Carolina late once we go to the Metro. But it's been a series of unfortunate events that have occurred, and the pieces tried to be brought in weren't the right pieces to be brought in. I feel that I don't know. There's a disconnect maybe between the higher ups and the coaches of what players they actually have on board and what they actually need. I don't know from where that's from. I don't know. Ducharme's got his own mind, and Bergevin, he's been around for very long. So I think it's clearly underperforming. 3-10-0 after 13 games is not very exciting, although not the worst team in the league. Shocking. It's quite shocking that they're quite low. There's also Carey Price. We'll get into him later. That'll be a separate individual topic in itself. But that's about it for me for Montreal.
Okay. Well, so I have a question to ask you, because obviously, yes, this is disappointing being 3-10 after the last season and all that stuff. But before the season started, you guys, the news was out about Weber was going to be placed on the LTIR to start the season. The Carey Price news, that one came as a shock really late before the start of the season. About
no, injury, it was
we knew he was
the expansion draft. He
Right.
was
No, we knew you're right. We knew he was going to miss time because of an injury.
yes.
But then I'm talking about like the news that we're going to get to later, like with the substance abuse. That like I mean, obviously that came out today or this past week, or no, it was
It
today.
was today.
But like
Yes.
we knew that he was going into the player assistance program like right, and that kind of hit them right before the season started. That was pretty late in preseason.
That's
So,
right. No,
anyways,
you're right.
my question is, knowing all that going into the season, did you really think they were going to be like anywhere better than what they are right now? Like,
No, of course not. With their injuries, Shea Weber is crucial to this team. Him and Jeff Petrie are the best defensemen this team has. David
oh yeah,
Savard was a hope and a dream to patch it up. Currently looks like Carl Alsner 2.0, a little better. He shoots on the right side, but it's not something that you would want to have. You need something that can push you a bit more. But I think it's dumb luck. And I, yes, I think a lot of things could have been different. Uh, different acquisitions could have happened. I think that there's too many goal scorers on the Montreal Canadiens. Mike Hoffman, Tyler Toffoli, Cole Caulfield, and they're not performing. They weren't. Cole Caulfield was sent down to the AHL.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So their ideas and what they thought the issues were once they got, okay, well, how are we replacing Shea Weber? How are we replacing Philip Danault? They got Dvorak, which has not looked anything like he was in Arizona. Kakiniemi has been striving in Carolina. So we're a little bit in the middle of everything, the thick of things, and yes, there was still optimism. Jake Allen's not a terrible goaltender, but yeah, let's just say, like, as I said, I would still do that trade any day of the week, because that's really
yeah,
how
of
it feels.
course.
Like it's a gamble every year, and that was their window, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. I mean, lightning just struck. It kind of like the clock ran out. Like the clock. What am I trying to say? The clock hit midnight on them. But I mean, hey, it was a good run. You guys got a lot to enjoy and got some good memories out of it.
That's
And
right.
that's often what happens. Teams like they get these Cinderella runs, and if it doesn't work out, then they're back to eternal pain.
Eternal pain, but there's still hope. Vegas, just like them, Dallas, just like them. There's always hope. I think that the Montreal Canadiens aren't very far away from being competitive again. They have lots of pieces, and now the coming up of Kakiniemi, and we wanted to maybe give him like more time in the juniors, or in Sweden, right? In Finland, sorry.
Hmm.
Give him more time over there instead of rushing him so quickly into the NHL. I I hope that they can squander that myth that Marc Bergevin screws everything up, or I mean they could just fire him. That's another one.
I think that would be the best solution.
But
But I mean, hey, I'm not in charge. I'm not Jeff Molson.
I am afraid of when that day happens, because who the hell are we replacing with? I know people would say replace him with a recycling bin. I'm like, no, well, we still need someone to actually work. Okay, like
A recycling bin works.
it does work, but
you put the
city
plastic
works
in
for you,
there.
Steven. The city works for you. Okay,
Uh,
the bin doesn't work for you. It's just a hole. It's just a hole you move around. Okay, I think the options that Mark Bergevin's replacement is terrible, especially because of the restrictions of the French and English. It's just not. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. And Patrick Waugh as a general manager or anything out there, I don't see it. I don't really see. There's like Luc Robitaille, I think there was, from the Los Angeles Kings.
yeah.
But he recently signed there, and there was actually rumors that Bergevin was looking to go there, but he confronted that and said, no, actually, I want to stay here, preferably if the world was still spinning the right way. Anyway, so you ready for Metropolitan Division?
Yeah, I am actually. I just want to say before we move on,
Sure.
just a quick,
I don't.
quick little thing. Like, I mean, not quite
Oh
that
yeah,
they're
another team.
overperforming.
Yeah.
They're not quite overperforming. Like, we expected them to be good. This was a year where they could prove themselves to be what they are, but I didn't expect them to be this hot from the start, and that's Florida at 10-1-1. I think, like, we expect them to be good, but I just didn't expect them to be this good. Again, it's early. They can easily come back down to earth. They're not going to keep an 875 point percentage going the whole way.
No.
Right? They're going to come back down to like the 600s probably, but still just, it's more like a shout out, if anything. I'm just giving a shout out to Florida here for no reason. That's all.
Yes, Florida is actually overperforming a little bit, but I do think that they are about 750 or 800 type of team. Yeah, I feel like Florida is
800.
Yeah.
That's a very high point percentage in the NHL
I think they
800.
Can. Duclair,
That's
Duclair
like
has
60 wins.
Okay,
that's more than 60 wins.
That's 75. That's or 750 is more accurate.
That's very high.
It is.
So basically, you're saying they're President's Trophy team.
They're competing for it. Look, the way Bobrovsky has started, Duclair has shown up. They have Barkov, Huberto, Ekblad. They've only added from then on Bennett, etc. They just have a flood of talent.
Sure. I mean, they also got Sam Reinhart as well.
That's
from
right.
Buffalo in a trade. So
that's correct.
Yeah, no, their offense is nasty. Even defensively, they got so many defensemen. Mackenzie Weegar is another guy who just kind of emerged last year and became this defenseman who's very good on both sides of the puck.
Yep.
And then, Bob Bobrovsky's finally playing well. Maybe not up to the $10 million that his contract says, but still playing well.
Look, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't agree with you because he's got, I think, a 1.75 for a save percentage right now.
Right.
So, of course, it's early in the season. We have to know until the end if he can actually pull through. But if he finishes with a 1.92 or 1.8, that's worth that's worth the money.
Oh, amazing!
You give him that money.
and then not to mention too, they have Spencer Knight, a young goalie who's on an entry level deal. Like it must be nice. It must be nice to be a Florida Panthers fan right now.
I wonder though if they would take that risk to keep going with Bobrovsky, or now that he has value, they ship him out.
Who needs to trade for a goalie and has $10 million in cap space?
That's right. You're a good point. Like, what's a team that needs a goalie to push it on through? You're right. I don't think there's any teams that'd be hungry enough to get that.
No, definitely not. And if they were to trade him, it would have to be at a reduced salary. They have to eat some of his cap by retaining. So I think most likely with Bobrovsky, he's going to be a guy with 4 or 5 years left on that deal. They most likely buy him out because they're going to have Spencer Knight, who needs to get paid if he keeps playing well as well, right? Yeah. So I don't know, that's a few years down the road for them. I mean, goalies don't get big contracts out of their rookie deals anyways, so you don't have to worry about giving him Matthews or Marner money. No. So they'll be okay.
Goalies will take they usually like to go bridge deals and take their time.
It's because from a GM's point of view, goalie's still young. He hasn't really played many years, and you don't want to commit that money to them.
That's the thing, though. Nowadays, you're throwing money like it's nothing to goaltenders that aren't as proven as they used to be. I feel like you pull up good numbers in Buffalo, but now in Boston, I don't know.
I don't know. Boston, though, their team, they always start off slow,
right?
And even then, 5-4 in 9 games, it's not that bad. That's normal for them. They always start off this way, and then just watch. In March, they'll hit full stride. They'll be ready. Come playoffs, they'll be beating the Leafs, and everyone will laugh at me. But
if the world keeps going around, I think Boston should technically make it, but I don't know. Detroit and Buffalo, if they keep making it competitive, might give Boston a little hard time there.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that, but I don't see that happening yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the season goes, but the way the deck is shuffled throughout the league is interesting. We'll get onto the Metropolitan, give us a little bit more idea here. I said just in general overpowered division. This we've talked about this not even an hour ago, but this division is ridiculous. No team
Yeah.
is under 500.
Yeah, I mean, when you kind of look at all the teams, like you can understand why. I mean, like Carolina, yep, they're a competitive team. The Rangers, they have competitive players, and they're going to be above 500. Washington, again, competitive. Philly, again, competitive, going to be above 500. Columbus, that's one that maybe kind of shocks me, but again, I mean, they're a hardworking team, so
They still have assets. Like all these teams
yeah, I
have
know
these
they got guys.
assets. They have
The
assets.
Islanders, I mean, gone to the two past conference finals. Like they're a solid team.
Yep. Yep.
The Devils, that's one. Like okay, fine, but again, they have good players that you can understand why they're
They
playing
were
this well.
expected to do well. They were like it was either sink or swim, and
Yeah,
they're trying to swim. But this division, everyone is swimming, and
yeah.
the whole league is dying.
Again, though, it's so hard to make an assessment now because like
Yeah,
these guys, like they still haven't played. Like they've only played a handful of teams, right?
that's
So
right.
it's not till you play like everyone that like you can finally understand like okay like what's going on, what kind of team are we, and who can we be. So I mean 10 games, I usually like to assess teams at the 20 game mark, which we're coming up to. We're halfway to that, I
Yeah.
guess you can say. So yeah, I guess you want to talk about under overachievers so far. I guess I'll just kind of start us off right away. Like I mean
Go.
again
You start.
the Devils overachieving. I think for sure they're overachieving. Like
I don't
again,
think
they're
they
only
were. They are overachieving. I think they are performing at a rate that they are supposed to perform, that they expected themselves to perform. They uh, it's hard for me to say that they're overproducing, because if they're overproducing, they would be currently over like the Rangers or
right.
Washington. But they're currently seventh. We're talking about the division alone. This division is too stacked.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. I'm also looking at their points. Like right now,
I
they have
think
12
over
points
is Buffalo, as Philadelphia and Columbus.
Columbus, definitely. Philadelphia, no. I mean, I could
They
see them being a wild card team. I could see them being there. They'll be over 500. 6-2-2, though. Yeah, that's an impressive record to start off the season. Nothing
it's
wrong with that.
I like to see Philadelphia doing well. I do
Yeah.
like to see it. I like to see all of them doing well, and that's what they're trying to do right now, and it's screwing us up right
Yeah,
now.
it really is.
The
Islanders
thing,
are
sorry,
underperforming. I guess in that case,
in
then the
that
Islanders
case,
would be underperforming.
but it doesn't. That's why I'm saying. That's why I said there really aren't any underperformers. There's no
No,
underperformers in this. That's fine. There's
no, not at all.
this is this division is full of overperformers at the moment, or just people. They're just all performing really well.
Hmm.
Pittsburgh, you can't blame them because they're missing Crosby, Malkin, Letang, key pieces in their team, and they're still above 500. So like
Oh yeah.
they're for what they have. I guess you could say they're overperforming as well. New Jersey overperforming. They're performing just right, maybe underperforming, because they were expecting to have a playoff position. Yeah, I this. What about you? Anything else?
Um, not really. I mean, again, like I feel like just things because it's early are looking weird. I mean, I do like to point this out because this one I kind of noticed this like last week, even like when Washington had like a few less games played and a few less wins and losses, but still basically the same. So their record is 6-2-4. Overall, they have 6 wins and 6 losses, but they've lost four games in overtime and only 2 in regulation. So like their record looks amazing, but like
That's
it
right.
just must be so confusing as a Capitals fan to be like, okay, we're really a 500 team, but the standings say otherwise. So like it just they're I mean, hey, they're not losing in regulation, which the NHL rewards you for not losing in regulation.
Like, yeah, and that's the only time in NHL you're gonna get that. in the regular season, anyways.
Yeah. Other
Playoffs,
than that,
you're
as
gonna
long
get
as
punished.
you get to overtime or shootout, you're walking away with a point, which you'll take a point
Yeah, oh
any
yeah,
day.
oh yeah. But I don't think that's what Washington wants. I think they want to win games solidly. They want to play
Mhm.
playoff games because last year there was a disappointment. The
And the year
Rangers,
before.
the Rangers are doing well. 7-3-3, 13
Yep.
games. Their differential is the worst out of the top four currently.
Yeah, -4. I mean, that's kind of expected. They don't really have any solid defensive defensemen or even goaltending like
They do
Shesterkin
have
and
they have
Georgiev.
you could say every single team in this Metropolitan Division. I actually I can't say New Jersey, even Pittsburgh. Yeah, those two have the weakest of the goalies. Pittsburgh and New Jersey have the weakest of the two
Oh,
goalies.
who does New Jersey have now as their
That's what
goaltending?
Blackwood, is it? Oh, is it? No, it's Bernier and Blackwood.
Right, so they still have Mackenzie Blackwood, who played unreal for them last year.
Yep.
Bernier, he's another guy. He's actually not doing bad. But yeah, neither of them are like are like guys you would expect to see on like a cup winning team. Let's just say.
Bernier, yeah, he's gotten 5 games, 4 wins, 2.55 goals against average, and 910 save percentage. That's really good for starter.
Hmm.
Like for up and coming team, that's really good to see. And no real point getters for New Jersey though. So Dougie Hamilton with just 6 points in 8 games. So I think that's a solid acquisition out of New Jersey there.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. Speaking of that, like looking at their goals for, they've only scored 26 goals, which is one behind the Islanders and many behind anyone else in their division.
Wow. So they're
uh,
defensive.
yeah, it's looking that way. Like, I mean, only 30 goals against. Like the Islanders have 25 against. Philadelphia has 25 against. Carolina has 20 against, but that's because they're just unreal.
Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah, I mean,
Do you want to know something?
what's that?
The replacement of Dougie Hamilton has 10 points in 10 games. Tony D'Angelo,
Oh
the
my God.
cancer of the New York Rangers,
Yep.
is lighting it up right now.
I know he's like an early Norris candidate. Like it's insane.
Yeah, Norris candidate. Yes, Barry Kotkaniemi with 3 points in 10 games. Not too hot, but still positive. Um, yeah, this Carolina is just clicking. They got one loss. Finally, they have a loss.
Hmm. A loss to Florida, so another really good team. They
That's
haven't
right.
lost to a team that has like less than 10 wins.
They just got the one loss, man. And other than that, I gotta say this stacked. This is just stacked. Next one.
Yeah, sure. Central, I guess.
Yes, the Central. So I got 2 overs and 2 unders.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
So for over, I got Nashville
Yep.
and I got Minnesota.
Uh, okay. I'd like to hear the Minnesota one
I
first.
think they're a good team. Okay, I'm not saying that they're not a good team. I just think that currently they're too high up on the standings. It's a lie. They're overperforming in the
Okay,
standings
yeah, that's
part.
fair. But again, you can always put that down to just it's we're 10 games in. We're
Yeah,
11 games in, right?
so
Like,
I think that like their players aren't even playing that hot either. I looked at their stats. A lot of minuses here and there. Points, not really. No one's got a point per game. I think honestly, like I think Colorado's gonna be coming back up.
mm-hmm.
I don't think Minnesota's keeping there. Not they got a just a one +1 differential. I don't think
Yeah,
they can
I
hold on to anything right there.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, looking at all their games, like they just win by one goal. Like that's all it is. They only play in one goal games.
They're not yeah, they don't even have good goaltending either. Like so it's not it's decent. They're getting the wins, but they're not getting the stats on their hands. The
Yeah,
goals
actually,
against and the save percentage is not good.
looking at their schedule, did you know that this past Sunday was their first win that was by more than one goal? They
Oh
won
my
5-2
God.
over the Islanders.
After 11 games.
And the Islanders don't play their first home game of the season until next Saturday.
Oh, that's
That's
great.
right. They've started the entire season on the road because of the new stadium that they're getting to play in.
Okay, they call us. What is it called?
It is. Oh God, what is it called? It's a new one. it's where the horse race is at Belmont
Oh,
Stakes.
I can't.
It's
I
around
don't know.
there.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget what the actual venue's called, but it looks really nice.
Okay. Okay. Well, the next one I had was Nashville. Which,
Yes.
It's pretty clear
I
they're
agree with that one.
They're fourth in there.
Yeah, I mean they're still. No, Nashville's a team that they're on the down, the downhill or the back nine of their core. Like guys are just getting older.
They're losing. That they lost key pieces like Rene last year.
They have some youth. I mean, they have Dante Fabro. Saros is still fairly young.
I think he's 25. It's still young.
Okay, yeah. So he's in his prime. You know,
he's putting up great numbers right now too.
Yes, he is playing well above.
Not in the wins department. He's 26. There you go.
Yeah.
In the wins department, he's not doing well, but he's doing great in terms of save percentage, goals against average.
Which is what you look at for a goalie. Wins is basically just how the team plays in front of him, you could say.
You can look at their top players here, Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson. 10 points for Matt Duchene. So it looks like they watched some of our GMO videos. And then Ryan Johansson has 8 points, but -7. So not terrible
that's a problem.
either. It is a problem, the -7. But it's good to see that at least they're putting up the numbers. Figure out the rest later. But get them to be motivated to keep going to the rink trying to get more points. But I definitely don't know if Nashville would be there as long as their goaltending can keep competing. And I think they have a shot anytime. That defense is really good. It doesn't change. Their development for defense is always good. I think them and I think Florida is starting to pick that up too. Florida is one team that's picking it up.
Yeah, definitely. They've definitely built their teams in very similar styles. I think obviously one team is maybe doing it a bit better than the other, but I mean, hey, it's still looking solid. And for now with Nashville, it's working. It's working in the early game for them, so we'll see what they can do long term.
And they came close last year. I
mean, they still made it into the playoffs in the Central Division that they were in, which was like a mix of East and West teams.
Yeah.
They had a solid year. I mean, yeah.
For my unders, I think these two are clear.
I think we both have the same too.
Chicago and Colorado.
Chicago? Okay, never mind. I was not going to say Chicago. But
there was so much hype over them that...
See, okay, I'll let you talk about it, but yeah.
That Chicago had a lot of hype over them, and I thought that because of this hype and expectations were very high, they thought that they were going to be performing at a rate as Minnesota is right now. That would be the base, but I think they're underperforming because most of their acquisitions Seth Jones is putting up the numbers, and that's good, but the team around him is not succeeding. They do have all the pieces back. Taze is back, but they're not doing anything. They're underperforming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard people hyping up Chicago all summer long, I was just like, what? Like, what do you see on this team?
There's potential. That's literally it. That's the past potential and what comes next.
I mean, I don't know.
Are you looking at the team here?
I am looking at the team.
Marc-Andre Fleury is not having a good time right now.
No, and I felt really bad for him when he got traded to Chicago. When that trade was announced, I was like, the poor guy is going to be suffering on a team that won't be doing him many favors. And I mean, so far, not wrong. They're 2-9-2. I mean, again, I was having a discussion actually on the weekend with someone I was working with. And they were talking about, we're just kind of talking about Chicago. And they were saying, like, yeah, they expect them to be good with Taves coming back and all these guys that they have. Like, they looked exciting. And I just said, yeah, I wasn't buying it. Like, I've seen this team play ever since they won their cups, and like you can see they just slowly been declining. And like 2018, 2019 weren't great years for them, and like, they missed the playoffs both those years. And I think you can really see from that point onwards that just things needed to change.
Did they win in that the round robin?
Yeah, that was in 2020 in the qualifying round. But again, if that was a full season, they wouldn't have been near the playoffs.
Well, look at the Habs too.
Again, they wouldn't have been near the playoffs that year as well.
I sort of look as Chicago and Montreal could probably be like exact replicas. They look essentially the same, other than one's more focused on the other. Carey Price for one, his contract's huge, and Shea Weber as well. Chicago's got those centerpieces up front that are still capable, and that's what I think a lot of Chicago fans had hope is that, well, you got the core getting back together. This core alone, without Duncan Keith performing at what he used to be, just adding Seth Jones, Jonathan Toews being back for sure. They're hoping that, yes, maybe wild card, but I think they hoped for even better fourth or third spot. I think that was definitely there. They told themselves that was a thing, and that's why I have them under, because the organization themselves thought that they're gonna do a lot better. They're gonna be a 600 type of 650. But now they're 231. So that's a hard stretch. That's half or even more of what they were projected. And I think that's why they were under in Colorado. That's a clear as day one too.
Yeah, the Colorado for sure. But before we just say that, I want to just make a quick point on Seth Jones. Like, I mean, when that trade happened, when he got traded to Chicago, and I saw how much Chicago gave up, and then I saw the extension that he was given right away by Chicago, I was just confused. Yes. I was just like, what are they doing?
The advanced analytics did not like this guy. He was not
and
a darling.
And it's continuing this year. He's a -8. Sure, he has 11 points, but again, a -8. Like, he's not playing well defensively. He's a defenseman.
Although, look, like we're talking about a team who is lacking in other defensemen to be around him. So he's the guy who's being targeted very specifically right now. They had before Adam Bokvis, who's only played 5 games this year, 0 points, a -3. Not great statistics. If I'm comparing Adam Bokvis to Seth Jones, I would take Seth Jones in a heartbeat over Adam Bokvis. I think that was a good trade. I don't think it's Seth Jones' fault. In fact, Seth Jones is having a resurgence of a type of year. Although the team around him, it's like Quinn Hughes in Vancouver. Although I think he has a bit better situation. Seth Jones in the same ballpark. He's currently stranded in an island, and he's the best defenseman there, and he's got to carry the weight. And that, I guess, I don't know. There's that Pittsburgh effect where Pittsburgh doesn't really have a top guy other than Chris Letang, but he's injured so many times throughout the year and the playoffs that you almost come accustomed that he's not going to be there to help you out and babysit you. You're going to have to do it on your own. And
you build around that. You build knowing that this guy probably won't be here. And Pittsburgh still plays well. They show up every night. They try their hardest. I mean, they have guys that, again, they just have guys in that locker room that have that winning mentality. Because you look at 16 and 17, those back-to-back cups, and then, you add Crosby and Malkin into the mix, and it's just like, holy, like, they're still an unreal team. Yeah,
even new players feel the same amount of pressure that the players from then who won the cup feel.
Exactly.
They feel the same because they gotta compete with those guys. They gotta compete for their line spot, but also to be their teammates. They gotta compete for each other. And that was it for Central. Oh, we didn't even talk about Colorado.
No, yeah, we got to go to Colorado now. Yeah.
Yeah. They are underperforming a huge. At a magnitude, I don't know who you had as the other under. Who was your other under?
I mean, maybe I didn't. I was gonna say Dallas. Okay. I was just gonna I'll just quickly touch upon it.
Sure.
Again, I'll just put him as an underperformer because, I mean, 4, 5, and 2 is not what I expect them to be. No. But at the same time, they were this team last year as well. So maybe this is just the team they've become, and that cup final appearance in the bubble was just luck. Kind of like how it was for Montreal last year. It was just a magical run, and then they ran into Tampa, who just was really good.
Gave them the business. They're not even playing poorly. Yeah, a little bit of production's missing from the top guys. Miro Heiskanen has 11 points right now in 11 games. The goaltending, even Braden Holtby is having a resurgence type of year.
Yeah, he's having a great year.
Very good to see. Yeah, they are underperforming for what they have. Ryan Suter, new addition to the team, hoping to bring more stability to the decor. Maybe they're having a tough time gelling together. Might be a thing that maybe a goaltending change could get a little bit more life out of this. Someone that's more adept to taking on this team. I don't know who's currently the coach for Dallas, but
Rick Bowness.
yeah, Rick Bowness.
I mean, one thing that I'm seeing though when I look at their roster again, I mean, the problem with most teams that are underperforming right now is just a lot of minuses, which to me just speaks out on defensive play. Again,
they're not too bad.
No, they're not. They're not terrible. Again, it's early, so
and the better players. Like, the better players are not the ones that have, John Klingberg, Alex Radulov.
Yeah, actually, a lot of them, all their top players are like -4 or worse.
Yeah.
I mean, the only positives on the team that I'm seeing are Guryanov, who only has 2 goals, and he's a goal scorer, so there's a problem. And then Kiviranta and Hakanpää, and everyone else is either... Oh, we got Thomas Harley, who's played 3 games, and he's a +2. Maybe he should play more games.
Yikes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Their team, again, maybe this is just who they are. Like, they were like this last season. They were always, I remember, like, at 500 on the brink of a playoff spot, but just couldn't get the job done. I always thought they would get the job done, especially when Sagan came back from injury. I'm like, that's the help they needed. Sure, he hasn't played in like all year, and he's going to be jumping onto a moving train.
Yeah,
I still thought they would use that as like big help and just be motivated by it. But I don't know. It's continuing into the early part of the season. Of course, now the good news for Stars fans is that they have 71 games to improve on that, which is always a silver lining, and that's how you got to look at it for all these teams.
They're not out of it. They're not out of it.
Just because they are where they are now doesn't mean they're going to be here in April, but I think for Chicago and Arizona, they will be there in April.
I think so too. Chicago did get rid of their coach, so it's still not too late, as we just said. I mean, 2-9-2 is not a great record. Arizona, they know what they're doing. They want to rebuild. This is it.
Yeah.
Chicago was not on that track, and I think the coach change, the general manager being gone, it's maybe a new environment for these players, and if it doesn't get better anytime soon, I think there's going to be a lot of trades. I think at least 2 guys in Chicago are going to be gone.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because they're going to realize, like, oh, we actually need to rebuild now, which is what they should have been doing from a couple years ago. But they were just in denial. Or Sam Bowman was in denial.
They were in denial because, like, you're waiting on Jonathan Toews most of the time. That guy's injured. Patrick Kane's injured. It's hard to make these decisions, especially these big-name $10 million players. You got Carey Price when he got injured first, and the Rangers, I think he is the player that gave me a new light to the injury scene. When you're talking about a superstar player that makes over $10 million, these guys need more time than you would think. They get injured, they need more time to have therapy, because they're the guys that are being attacked most out of all the players on the league. And goaltenders are one of them. Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, they're going to be targeted first and foremost by the biggest guys out there, because they know night in and night out that these guys can put it in the net, and that wears down on you. Of course, they're hoping, and that was a proper hope for Stan Bowman, is that these guys have this magical juice that they've had since the Stanley Cup. They've drank from the fountain of youth, and they still have it. Of course, right now it's not paying off. New coaching change hopefully could change that, but Colorado, we're going to talk about, they don't have any change. they seem to improve other than losing Darcy Kemper in the offseason.
I mean, gaining Darcy Kemper.
Sorry, did they gain? Oh yeah.
Yes, they
My
traded
bad.
for him.
They traded, but they lost. What's his face? Grubauer.
Yes, he was a free agent.
Where did he end up to again? Oh, Seattle.
Seattle.
That's right.
Seattle. Yep.
Same division. That's great. Oh no,
Nope.
that's different division. Why am I mixing it up? Anyways, the team that's not doing too badly. They still got a couple guys who are point per game. Got some pretty bad minuses though. Cale Makar being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of looking at that too. Like, they're the guys who you expect to perform. They're putting up numbers, but then like I'm looking at their depth. Like, I mean, Tyson Jost 2 points in 10 games and a
Penalty
minus
minutes,
one.
man. Nazem Kadri, 24 penalty minutes in 10 games.
Yeah, I think that's because
And Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson's got 22. That's not good.
I'm wondering they might have gotten like ejection, so that's automatic 10 minutes in penalties
Okay.
in one game. So
You're right.
it could be because of that. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure Kadri did something
Kadri-like.
Yeah, exactly, very Kadri-esque, we'll say. But yeah, I mean, just again, I'd say for them, it's just their depth. I mean, Nichushkin's only played one game. I don't know if he got hurt in that game. But then again, they have Jack Johnson, who, I mean, Pittsburgh made him look good last year, which confused me.
They make anyone look good, honestly. They have that
Yeah.
power to do
Very
that.
true. I mean, he's actually a +1, so he's not doing too bad. Darren Helm, though, -4. That's not good for the depth.
Same
Again,
with
I think-
Gerard, their top defensemen, Gerard and Makar, hard minuses 8 and 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, where's Devin Taves, actually? Now that I look at it. Oh, there he is.
yeah,
He's
he's
only played
just-
one game.
yeah.
He's injured. Oh.
So
Oh,
maybe
they got
the depth for this team is not good enough defensively.
Yeah, defensive depth. I mean, I'm now going to look at what their line combinations are because I just want to see what kind of team they're putting on the ice these days with all these injuries. Because, yeah, usually, like, I know Devin Taves and Cale Makar last year were an unreal pairing.
Yeah.
But clearly, yeah, I mean, who is out? Oh, it's actually... Okay, Makar is actually the one that's injured, and Taves is back.
Interesting. Okay.
Taves Gerard, Byram Johnson. Oh, Byram. What are his stats looking like?
Give me a second here.
And Eric, he's with Eric Johnson because they have both Johnsons. I just realized that.
He has 8 points in 10 games with a
Yep,
plus
so
3.
he's okay. So then him and Eric Johnson are working perfectly.
Wow, that's shocking.
And then Jack Johnson, Ryan Murray. I saw what they were doing. Yeah. Again, I'm looking at that third line of Tyson Jost, JT Comfort.
Where was Samuel
Kiefer Sherwood.
Gerard playing? And
He's playing with. He's taking Makar's spot on the top pairing right now.
interesting.
So with, I'm trying to think. Maybe I don't know who comes out of the lineup when Makar
Jason
comes back.
Megna, I think he's a defenseman. Right?
He's a forward.
Oh, that's an L for me. I don't know. Ryan Murray. Ryan Murray.
Yeah,
Who's a -2 right
probably.
now.
It's got to be him. Yeah, because how many games played does he have?
10.
He's played every game, but again,
Well,
I mean,
Taves
Taves started
won.
the year hurt. Yeah, so
And if you're saying the other guy, maybe he had to replace Makar. So that's
Very true.
Colorado. They're just a disappointment right now. We're going to be talking about playoffs and who makes it out of every division. But we'll get
Yep.
on to that after the Pacific. You could start this one now.
all right. Pacific Division. As far as I'll start off with, I guess the overperformers.
Sure.
I mean, I'm looking at like 3 teams right now, and they're all ranked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I mean, starting off with the Calgary Flames. I mean, they're a team that they had the players, they have the tools. This is how they should be. But when you look at the way they played last year, and just kind of like the offseason and the mood coming from like their fan base and just from the media and what everyone was saying, no one expected Calgary to come out this strong. So that's a big surprise to me.
Okay.
Anaheim and San Jose, I think those are both big surprises as well. For now, I think in the end, when the year's all said and done, they will go back down to near the bottom of the division. But I mean, good starts for them right now. Yeah, they're just capitalizing off that.
I did not think that Calgary was overperforming. I thought that Calgary was just performing as they're expected, sort of like a Chicago situation. If Chicago was performing, I think that this Calgary's position is somewhat where Chicago would be at right now.
Right.
Although yes, maybe too much to get a 7-1-3 record is really good, and I think they're more like the 6-3-3 type of record. I think definitely San Jose was one of the other teams I put in, and Anaheim. I think Anaheim and San Jose are the overperformers. Anaheim's not even that hot. Drysdale's got a -10 right now.
Oof, yeah, I know. He's had a rough time adjusting.
Trevor Zegras and him have been having a tough time.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but I mean, obviously, they still have John Gibson as well, one of the best goalies in the league.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say about them. They're just playing well at the moment.
San Jose, I'm happy for them. Happy that they're doing well. James Reimer is doing a fantastic job there.
Yeah, he is.
And Erik Karlsson is trying to turn his game around. He's trying to look different, sort of like Drew Doughty. He's also in that division as well. We could talk a bit about them. I think that they're not overperforming right now. Definitely
no.
Not.
They're right where I thought they would be.
No, they have about the same record as San Jose. One game played extra, so it's not even a big deal. James Reimer is doing great in San Jose. Let's look at points for Karlsson. Where are you? Is he not even playing? Karlsson?
No, he is.
I don't even see him. He has no points.
What do you mean?
I don't think he's playing at all.
I think you're blind.
It's very much a possibility. I will take the blind. Yeah, no, I've looked through the list about 6 times.
Okay, you're right. He isn't being shown. You weren't wrong about that.
Wow. So they're doing this without a similar situation to Buffalo without Eichel.
No, but they do have Erik Karlsson.
Of course they have Erik Karlsson, but he's injured. He has to be injured.
No.
What do you mean no?
He's injured now.
Well, injured now, man. He wasn't. Well, it would show
that's
you.
Why he's.
It would still show you his points.
Yeah, he's got 6 points in 7 games. That's
why can't I see it? What the fuck?
No, you're right. The San Jose Sharks website. I'll just explain this for people. Like, yeah, we're both looking at the Sharks website stats, right? Is that where you're looking too?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess when a guy gets hurt, they don't include them on their stats. You're right. They absolutely should, because it's not like they go away. But yeah, no, that's why I was gonna say, like, he's off to an amazing start. He just got injured. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists in 7 games. Like, he's Erik Karlsson again. You know what I mean?
Hopefully he can keep that pace going. That would be really nice.
And he's a +2. He's finally not a minus player.
There we go.
What do you know?
He's probably really happy and just keeping that positive attitude throughout the whole thing. That's what he needs to focus on. Under. Do we have unders for this one? I've got 2.
I've got 2 as well.
Okay. All right. You pitch one, I'll pitch the other.
I think I'll take the easy one. The Vegas Golden Knights.
There you go.
Perfect. Although with them, just injuries galore. That you want to talk about eternal pain? They're going through it right now.
Yeah, I think it's not as bad as Montreal, but they do have a struggle right now with the injury.
I mean, you're without Pacioretty, you're without Stone, you're without Karlsson, you're without.
Hey, Karlsson's not even like your 3rd line center, all right? Chandler Stevenson's your number 1 center, okay?
Yeah, and then Karlsson's your number 2 center.
No, he's like your 4th.
Okay, well, when Eichel's playing... Oh, Eichel, there's another injury. He's in his... They adopted his injury. His injury.
It's true. They did replace a healthy player for an injured one, so I guess.
One healthy player, Alex Tuck, is also injured.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I
But
think
that's what I mean. Like they've just had injuries all year, and it's like, how can they? Oh, Matthias Janmark. There's another injury. Like
yeah.
they just have guys
Oh,
everywhere.
Nolan. I
First
think
line,
Nolan
second line,
Patrick's
third
also
line.
injured too.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like you're just helping my point. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. All throughout the lineup, there's an injury.
Yep.
It's like none of their lines are the way they should be. They're playing mostly AHL guys in their forward core.
And that's the thing that they were brought up on these type of guys. They had their goaltending at first. Yes, of course you had Marc-Andre Fleury, but then you have freaking what's his name, Malcolm Subban come out of nowhere doing great.
Well,
There was injuries. Yeah, there's injuries upon injuries.
That was the
and
thing.
injuries.
In their first season, Fleury got hurt.
Yeah.
Subban got hurt. Oscar Danza then got hurt, and then the guy to replace them, I think it was like Maxime Lagacé, he got hurt. Like their 4 starting goalies were all hurt.
All playing well. Every single one of them.
And
900s,
you
over
play
900s.
well, boom, injury.
Yep. It was a bug.
It's unreal. It's unreal. I mean, they battled through that and still made the playoffs. I mean, they won their division.
Finals.
Yeah, went to the finals, exactly. So will this be able to stop them? I don't know. I think they'll bounce back when everyone comes back and they're healthy again. I think they'll go right up to battling it out with Edmonton for the division lead.
Jack Eichel, Pacioretty, back.
Yeah, it's so hard to go up against that team when they're fully healthy and feeling it. Like that's a team I don't want to run into.
Well together. Could Eichel be too much? You know, there is such thing as too much.
You're right. I mean, it could be, but
they needed that number one guy. But Chandler Stevenson right now is acting like this number one guy. 12 points.
Yeah, but how long will he keep that up for?
You have a good point. But
that's the thing. Like he's
proven in the playoffs and currently in the regular season that he has that capability.
He does. It's just about just how consistent will he be with it, or like that's the thing. Are you going to take a chance on him, or would you rather have a guy who you know is a top player in Jack Eichel, and like you don't need? There's low risk with Eichel.
No, I think depth is great, and they have but that's also difficult to say. It's like Chandler Stevenson, 12 points in 12 games. Nicolas Roy, in 10 games, he's got 8 points. These are both very young centers. Or not very experienced guys, and they're putting up these numbers at a positive rate, plus minus wise.
Well, because they have to.
They have to, but is it a Pittsburgh situation, or is it like these guys? I think I'm hoping that these guys can turn it around, and keep this pace. I think they're gonna have too many centers at one point. Of course, you could shift a center to a wing. But I believe that their effectiveness is really where they are playing right now. Chandler Stevenson, number one line. We'll have to see if that hopefully doesn't change the center dynamic of this team that is already fragile. And yeah, maybe you have that number one center, but if the other lines fail too, what's the point, right?
Yeah, no, very true.
We don't know yet, Jack Eichel, if he'll fit in, and I'm sure at the beginning it'll look rosy and dandy, but then after a while might have some questions. Carlson, is he necessary? Do we have too much center depth? Chandler Stevenson, Nicolas Roy, can we get cheaper? Questions will arise, especially with the cap. These guys are accumulating so many high-end talent that they're going to have to... They're definitely juggling right now.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great team. The next under, I think, I don't know if you have the same one, but Vancouver was mine.
Yep, I am agreeing with that.
And I mean, it's clear and evident. They got the players that they wanted to sign. They got Pettersson. They got Hughes. They're both performing. Okay, not to their... Hughes is performing to standard. 10 points in 11 games. Pettersson, 8 points in 12 games. Close to point per game. 4 points missing, but you know, who's counting? Everyone seems to be performing. Connor Garland is doing really well. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's doing not too bad. It's not top 2 numbers, but it's good. It's positive. This team, other than the top 6, even the bottom 6, they're doing really well. Goaltending's doing really well. They're performing well. They're maybe not performing well enough. Maybe they're sticking
Yeah,
too
like
middle of the pack and they're underperforming. And I'm having a tough time. They're not completely out of it. We said it before. Like, look at the wins here: 9-7, 6-6, 6-6, 5-4. Right, the margins are really close. Edmonton with the clear prominent lead. I think it's clear as day that they're going to make the playoffs.
oh yeah, they're like
Unless they're bearing a
McDavid,
shutdown of the whole entire thing, everyone dying and collapse like flies.
yeah, geez.
Would
Let's
be
hope that doesn't
depressing.
happen.
Yeah, hopefully
because
not.
I want McDavid to put up 150 years or 150 years. 150,
That's it.
150
Let him live
yeah, I want him
forever.
to play for 150 years, but I want him to put up like 100 over 150 points this year. I think this is going to be his best season ever in the this is going to be a statistically best season in the NHL. My guess.
I believe so too, but I think the tank is never empty, and that showed with Gretzky or Lemieux. A generational player can always exceed expectations, and I think that he is I think he's gonna hit 180. I think in his career.
180.
180.
Oh yeah, for sure.
180.
His career.
200 is even a possibility. You got Draisaitl there, man.
I
We're
mean,
talking about one of the best snipers in the league is Draisaitl
You're right.
right there.
No, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at Nuge too. He's got 14 assists and no goals. Like,
He's
that
just a
guy's just an
playmaker.
assist machine.
Yeah.
Holy, that's and in 10 games, he's over an assist per game. Oh
And
my
Zach
god.
Hyman, he's minus right now, but he's point per game as well.
Yep.
RV point per game.
I mean, how is he a minus? I'm like, what?
That's right. You're right. 'cause
How could you be a minus on this team?
you would think also Zach Hyman, this guy's playing penalty kill. He's responsible with the puck. -3 might just be a statistic. I think it's nothing
Yeah.
to get really bothered about.
No, it's nothing exactly.
We'll talk about it after 20 games or something. We'll come back to Zach Hyman and see if he's still a minus. But I think that was it for under and over.
Yeah, I think we covered everything we need to talk about there. So yeah, looking good to me.